Online thrifting is a totally different skill set than in store. You can't touch the fabric, you can't check seams, and you're relying on photos, descriptions, and honestly, that you're feeling about the seller. Photos can be misleading, lighting can hide wear, things can be cropped or stretched or clipped or styled to look better than they are. If you've ever ordered something online and then gotten it and thought, why did I think that was a good idea? It's not you. You just need a different system. One of my go-to sites for online thrifting is ThredUp. ThredUp is essentially an online thrift and consignment store. Brands send in inventory or people send in inventory, and ThredUp handles everything, photographing the item, pricing it, and shipping it. And then if you have consigned with them, you get a cut of whatever they sold it for. Okay, so I'm going to take you through how I would conduct a search on ThredUp. And I spend a lot of time searching these apps on my phone. It's actually something that I do. I actually consciously try to do it instead of doom scrolling. So what I'll do, let's say I have an idea of something I want, a tulle skirt. So I type in tulle skirt, and right away it pulls up, massive amounts of results. And then I start to use their filters to whittle it down and drill down into what it is that I'm actually looking for. So here we've got material. Now, normally, of course, I would do natural materials, which is what I prefer, but when you're dealing with tulle skirt, it's going to be synthetic material. I don't know when a silk tulle, I'm sure it's made, but synthetic is fine. I just want like a fun ballet core tulle skirt. So I'm gonna click my sizes. I have my sizes saved in here in my account so that I can just quickly do that, and that makes it really handy. So now I've got it set to my sizes, and then colors. I don't want black. I'm looking for green, gray, blue, maybe pink. So now we'll see what that pulls up. And there's still so many different ones. I'm going to scroll down and see until something catches my eye. I really like the look of this dark slate gray one right there. I like how it has more of an A-line shape than the other ones. So I'm going to click on that and take a closer look. So a couple things here. I'm going to look at the photographs. ThredUp will always show you in the photograph the waist measurements and the length measurements. So if you've never taken your own measurements, take your own measurements and kind of have them memorized. Even if you don't want to know what your measurements are, I promise, just do it. It's fine, and it helps you get things that actually fit you. So looking at this, I know that it's going to fit around my waist, and that's great. It is a new with tags item. You can see the tags in the picture. That's cool. ThredUp is often running discount codes, so you can see that with the discount code I can use, it would be like $11.99 plus the shipping. Okay, maybe. I hearted it to save it into my likes. And when you save things in your likes, it helps ThredUp know what kind of clothes you're looking for. And I think they kind of have an algorithm where they'll show you things. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I definitely know that other sites do, so they might as well. Okay, here's another one that's catching my eye, this navy blue one here with like the red striped waistband. It's very like, I don't know why it's appealing to me. I think I like that light tulle layer over the dark underskirt. This is another brand I've never heard of, LV. It seems like they might be a European brand because they've got European sizes listed. This is another one where I believe the tags are still on and I get a discount with the code. The waist is fine. I think that would fit me around the waist. Good to know. I'm going to click on LV. you can click on the brand name on ThredUp and it'll show you everything else on their site that they have for sale by that brand, which can be helpful to kind of give you an idea of the quality if you're not familiar with the brand name, or just kind of what their style is. And you just kind of get a sense of how something might fit you from the way that is. Oh, here's another one that's really pretty. This dark green one. It's another one with like, I'm really liking these ones with the dark skirt and then this light tulle layer that like floats away from it. This is another brand, ThredUp, that I am not familiar with. This is something else I really enjoy about these thrift sites is I so often run across brands that I've never heard of, and I find it very interesting and educational. This one is more expensive, so it makes me curious. Is ThredUp like a higher end brand? I'm going to click on it and see what else they have for sale by ThredUp. Looks like they make some really pretty sheath dresses, but not too much information about the brand. If I really wanted more information, I'll often just go out and do a Google search because I want to know like who makes it and what the quality and price point generally are, and that helps me decide if I'm getting a good deal on something second hand. ThredUp looks like they specialize in dresses. Oh, I really like the looks of that. When I thrift on ThredUp, I'm not browsing casually though. I'm filtering immediately. I always start with what it is that I'm looking for, like, for example, summer dress. So I will type that in the search bar and then I will start filtering. I start with fabric. I care way more about what something is made of. So ThredUp is great in that you can filter by fabric. So I like to check natural materials, or sometimes I'll get even more specific and say, I want cotton, because natural materials in their setup will include linen, cotton, wool, cashmere, leather. So, if you're looking for something wintry, you can just filter for wool and leather or whatever. You can also do blends. I'm not opposed to cotton blends or linen blends depending on the quality of the item. That's a possibility too. So after I've filtered for fabric, then when I get my results, I check measurements. I don't trust the size tags at all online unless it's a brand that I know pretty well or I have something similar from that brand already. So a lot of times the sellers will include measurements, and if they don't, that's a pretty big turnoff for me. Like usually I'll just move on because I really need to see the measurements. Now on ThredUp, everything is professionally listed by their staff, so they almost always have really good measurements, so you can get a good idea of the actual size of something. But what ThredUp is great for is they're more of a consignment shop, so they will not accept, per their guidelines, they will not accept vintage clothing. Everything has to be like pretty current within a couple, like I think 2 years or so. So you're not going to go on there and find a lot of really interesting vintage clothing, but it's great for finding brand name, high quality, modern clothing, new clothing. And I like to search on there by brand name or by occasion. They have a really like smart search. So if you type in date night outfit, or if you type in like wedding guest, you will get a really good result because there's something about, they've really worked on their AI or their algorithm or something, and you'll get a very good result from that. And I think they kind of base it, and then you can set your sizes in there too, so that you're only seeing things that are in sizes that actually fit you. There's nothing like the frustration of finding the perfect piece and then noticing that it is never going to fit you. It's either way too big or way too small. ThredUp is often running deals on shipping and sales. If you're a first time customer, you can get a code for 50% off of everything in your cart plus free shipping, which is really nice. But they run 50% or 40% or 30% off sales quite a lot. And I like to, the other thing with ThredUp that's nice is that the shipping is pretty brutal. It's like $10.99. Of course, shipping for everything these days is brutal, and that's a problem with online thrifting, of course. But if you if you can have like a cart minimum of $89 or something, I think is the cutoff, then they will give you the shipping for free. And even if it's $89, but then with your discount, it's like 40% off, they still give you the free shipping, which is really nice. So I like to, with ThredUp, be strategic and make sure that I am getting the free shipping. So I'll, and this is something I need to get into another video, but when I'm looking for pieces, I'll wait until I have a cart full of things that I've been looking for that adds up to the right price so I can get the free shipping. It just kills me to pay for shipping. I know I'm not alone there, but so those are my strategies. Always wait for a coupon code from ThredUp and figure out how you can get free shipping. Sometimes they run just a deal where shipping is free and there's no order minimum. Those are really fun times. Quality on ThredUp is pretty, you can trust them pretty well. I've been pretty happy across the board with, what you see is what you get. I did have one incident where I ordered a cashmere sweater, and when it came, there was a big old hole right in the front, and it had been listed as being in excellent condition. But they're very good. They're very easy to work with their returns. I just got in touch with them, and I was able to return the item for free and get my money refunded. It was absolutely no problem at all. Depop is a peer-to-peer resale app. You're buying directly from individual sellers, and it's kind of like a curated online flea market. Prices and quality vary a lot, but it is an amazing place to find unique pieces, vintage pieces, and hard to find pieces if you know what to look for. I use ThredUp when I want efficiency and consistency, and Depop when I'm hunting for something special, which is most of the time. I especially love all of the vintage finds on Depop. But on both platforms, knowing how to spot quality matters way more than anything. Now I'm going to show you how I approach Depop. So here's my main page. They always show suggested for you, and this is like based on your other likes. They'll pull things up that they think you might like, kind of similar to Facebook Marketplace. And it is always very accurate for me. I'm like right away, I'm like, ooh, that Ann Taylor dress, that's really nice. I'm looking at the other things that this seller has to see if there's anything else that catches my eye, and that's because sometimes sellers will offer a deal if you bundle things, like get 10% off, 20% off. Sometimes they'll even offer free shipping if you bundle things. And one of the fun things about Depop is sometimes you'll find something, and then when you look at everything else the seller has, you realize that you and the seller are kindred spirits and you have very similar tastes, and they might have a lot of things that you like. And if you can bundle and save on shipping, that is to your advantage versus like buying single one-off items seller by seller, because the shipping is really a killer on Depop. And if you're buying one thing, it can also be really, really worth it though, because what are the odds of coming across a perfect cashmere sweater in your local thrift shop where sure, there's no shipping charge, but you paid for the gas to drive there and all the hours you spent searching versus searching from the comfort of an armchair in your living room. So, you just have to balance all these things out. But I found 2 dresses from this lady's shop that I thought were really pretty. So I bundled them up and put them in my bag, and a 10% discount was automatically applied. If you bundle a lot of things from a seller, you can also just message them directly in the app and ask them about maybe doing a deal. But let's try my same search here, tulle skirt, that I did in ThredUp, and see what we get in Depop. And of course, right off the bat, it's an overwhelming 40,000 some odd results. So let's start narrowing this down. I have my sizes saved in Depop as well in my account, just so I'm not heartbroken looking at things that are never ever going to fit me. And then I love how they have blue and navy as separate colors in Depop. That is a really nice thing because you might love navy like I do and not really necessarily always want something blue. So I'm checking off my favorite colors to wear that I know work with my palette and my coloring and my wardrobe. And then let's see what they have tulle skirt wise in the colors I have selected. That's still just like an overwhelming number of offerings. So I'm going to try to narrow it down even further by putting it in the skirts category. Sometimes if you don't choose a category, you get like a lot of random results, so that can narrow it down. Sometimes it doesn't make a difference, sometimes it does. And then I like to play around with looking at the results. Like I'll sort it price low to high just to see what crazy low prices there are on things. Wow, this looks kind of like what I was looking for only $3, but I'm looking at the photograph and it looks like there's these weird stains all over the skirt, which she's not mentioning in the listing, but she also said it would be a great skirt to wear to festivals, which makes me think like if you're wearing this to festivals and concerts, odds are that it got pretty dinged up, which might be why you are selling it for only $3. But I think I'm going to pass on that. I don't need something with stains on it. See what else is in here. So I'll like scroll down through price low to high until I sort of like get tired of it, and then I might switch it around and see what the highest price thing is and scroll down that way for a while, just out of curiosity. Whenever I set from high to low, I always find some amazing designer pieces that I would love to have. Oh, look, there's a Cezanne skirt. Look how beautiful that is. Now, these are, a lot of times people will do this. They will copy paste the pictures from like the Cezanne website, so you get an idea of what it is you're looking at, and then they'll post their item too. Be careful not to confuse, those pictures. But yeah, that it looked like it was in pretty good shape, and she had a lot of detail in her description, which is always a good sign. On Depop, you can rate sellers, and I do like to buy from sellers. I feel way more comfortable when they've got 4 or 5 stars. Definitely when they've got 5. When they have 3 or below, sometimes I've bought from people with 3 or below a few times, and with mixed results. So I would say stick with the higher starred sellers, unless that you have your heart absolutely set on something. So scrolling down through the skirts, scrolling. And then I finally got tired because there's just so many results, and I was like, okay, realistically, you can set the price, and I'm not willing to spend more than like $20 on a tulle skirt. So let's see what they have in the range of 0 to 20, just out of curiosity. Okay, these are all my likes. So you can save things and then just like in ThredUp and then go back and look at them. And I have things saved in here from, some of them go back years. So a lot of things do end up selling, but sometimes things don't. And then you're really surprised. You're like, oh, that's still there. It's been like a whole year since I liked that thing. Maybe I'll buy it. So that's kind of fun. It's kind of like window shopping. And then sometimes I'll go back and like I'll get really obsessed about wanting a certain item, but I don't have any budget to buy anything at the moment, so I'll do all this research and shopping on Depop and save a bunch of things. And then sometimes when I go back a few months later, I'm like, why did I even want that? Why was I obsessed about that? Or I will have found one of what I was looking for sort of through serendipitously at a thrift store in IRL, as they say, or something like that. So, but just doing the research and thinking about what it is I want is, to me, it's a very relaxing and fun hobby, and a lot better than reading the news or doom scrolling on Facebook. Depop is a completely different experience from ThredUp. It's much more personal, and because of that, who you're buying from matters a lot. You're buying the seller. I always look at the profile of the person that if there's a piece I'm interested in, do they seem consistent, honest, responsive? Is there a 5-star rating, 4-star rating, 3-star rating? I start to feel a little nervous. In the listing, if there's no measurements, stock photos, like they've pulled a picture from J. Crew because they're selling a J. Crew dress, those are red flags for me. The photos need to be clear, and I need to see the measurements. And then if I message the seller with a question, and they answer me right back, those are usually a good sign. For both any online thrifting, these are my non-negotiable rules of thumb. I will never buy anything if I don't know the measurements. Measurements are way more important than size. So sometimes if I really like something and the seller hasn't listed measurements, I will message them and ask, and they will measure it for you and get right back to you quickly. Fabric is the most important thing. If it's synthetic and not deeply discounted, I will pass. I will never buy something that is almost perfect. If I have to convince myself, it's just a no. I always assume that I might have to spend a little bit to get something tailored. I try to avoid that. I like when things fit right off, of course, but there's always the possibility that with a little tailoring, something might be perfect and still way less than I would have spent otherwise. This is the exact system I use when I thrift online, and it saved me so much money and regret. If you want this broken down into a simple printable checklist that you can use next time you're online shopping, I have made a little cheat sheet for you and I've linked it below. Remember, slow thrifting is better thrifting always.